In Vallejo, it's not clear if that person is connected to the shooting. These killings are believed to be Vallejo's 5th and 6th homicides of the year. From the scene in Vallejo, Matt Bigler, KCBS.
Some alleged copper thieves are behind bars when San Jose police officers spotted them early Saturday trying to steal wire from an overhead phone line near San Felipe Road and Meadowlands Lane. Police say a man carrying heavy-duty wire cutters and plastic bags was found hiding in bushes near the entrance to the city's Meadowlands neighborhood. He had already cut down some overhead phone lines and stowed the pieces in bags alongside the road. A woman who was waiting to help the man haul them away was found in a parked vehicle down the road. Both of them were arrested. This comes as the National Insurance Crime Bureau says wire thefts have caused disruptions to infrastructure and in some areas are reaching epidemic proportions. Thieves strip copper wire from phone lines and street lights, and then they sell them to scrap metal recyclers. Santa Rosa police and firefighters say a fire that broke out last night at the historic Church of the One Tree was arson. Fire was reported about 8 o'clock last night at the back of the church. Crews arrived in less than 4 minutes and put it out. Preliminary investigation determines it was intentionally set. Church of the One Tree was built in 1873 from lumber milled from a single redwood tree. It served as the First Baptist Church for years. It later became a Ripley's Believe It or Not museum. Right now, the landmark building is being used for special events. Coming up on KCBS, a long-standing Bay Area fundraising tradition gets ready to say goodbye this weekend. We're talking about the California AIDS Life Cycle Ride. KCBS News Time, 10:15. Hurricanes finally snap a long-standing NHL record. We check in on the KCBS Sports Line. Here's Stephen Langford.
It's one of the more unique records in sports, as it is specific to the Eastern Conference Finals in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes had lost 15 straight games at that stage, which established a National Hockey League record and in danger of getting swept by the Florida Panthers, potentially keeping that streak alive.
Here's Kachuk. Jarvis flies it across. Cuts the cup with the feet for Aho. Scores!
Audio courtesy of ESPN. So they ended up beating the Panthers in Game 4, but the last time they won in the Eastern Conference Final was in 2006. Their current head coach, Rod Brindamore, scored the game winner.
You know what? I didn't even think about that, but that's nice. I mean, it means so like nothing to these guys because half of them aren't here, and but it's been a story, so it's nice to not have to talk about that.
Panthers, though, they have a 3-1 series lead as it returns to North Carolina for Game 5. At the sports desk, Stephen Langford, KCBS.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So we had a huge new business pitch.
Attention, all hands on deck.
When, boom, our only printer was fried.
Up in smoke. What's your chances of landing that account?
Well, I just sent the file to Staples. Devin, the print associate, was on it. She had it printed and bound the same day.
So, where's the drama?
There wasn't any. Staples made it super easy.
Inconceivable. For the product, services, and experts you need, Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app.
Something amazing is happening in business. More companies are turning to Mac. From finance to fulfillment, CDW will seamlessly support Mac integration into your organization. With the power of Apple Silicon, best-in-class security, and compatibility across your favorite apps, your team will have the performance they need and the tools they love. Make amazing happen. Mac and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/Apple.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Now through June 22nd at Big O Tires, buy 3 tires, get 1 free on 4 select Big O brand tires. And every set is backed by our industry-leading ProTech Plus protection warranty. Installation purchase required. Disposal fees extra. Not valid with other offers. See Big O dealer for details.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Have weekend plans?
Sleeping, golfing, hanging out with family.
Take us along for the ride. It's on all day, everywhere we go. We keep you up to date on the news, traffic, and weather.
I listen to it because it keeps me informed.
All news, all the time, right here on KCBS.
Today, 7:18 at KCBS, keeping tabs of that midday ride. We're headed to San Jose with Victor.
And looking at a few areas of slow traffic, 101 northbound, looking at the Chilton Auto Body collision cam from Capitol Expressway all the way to slightly past, that's a McKee Road. We'll call it pockets of slow traffic until you get to that point. Then after that, the rest of your ride over to 880 is looking clear and at the speed limit. 87, still some brakes happening in the northbound direction from Capitol Expressway to just past Kirtner Avenue. By the time you get to 280, the rest of your ride through the downtown area of San Jose all the way to the San Jose Medina International Airport is looking good. Leaving San Jose on 85 northbound, that's making your way towards Los Gatos. Right around Highway 17, that's you'll see a little bit of a slowdown way before you get to Saratoga Avenue. It does open up from there, but once you get into Cupertino, right as you approach, let's say, Stevens Creek, as you approach 280, there is some slowing there till you get past Fremont Avenue. As you ride into Sunnyvale, let's say all the way to Mountain View after that, the rest of your ride is looking pretty good. 101's looking pretty good from there as well. It was pretty slow in Mountain View, 101 northbound after Shoreline Boulevard. Now it looks like it's clearing up. And the rest of your ride on the peninsula, we'll take that all the way to Highway 92 in the Foster City, San Mateo area. That is a very smooth ride. Your next traffic update at 10:28 on the traffic leader, KCBS.
We've got your Mancini's Sleep World 6-day forecast. Save big during the tariff-free Memorial Day sale at Mancini's Sleep World. Shop sleepworld.com.
It's a nice warm day for us today in our inland spots, warming up into the 80s today in the East Bay, the Santa Clara Valley, and for wine country too, with plenty of sunshine to share for our friends along the bay. You head over into San Francisco and Oakland, it's a little bit more mild today, mid-60s in SF, upper 60s into Oakland just across the Bay Bridge, and throughout the next couple days we're going to see a gradual warming trend until Friday, where we jump a lot. For example, Oakland jumps to the 80s, we're going to see 90s anywhere from the North Bay into the Santa Clara Valley, and all the way off into the East Bay, well, we're going to see upward 90s, close to the triple digits over into Solano County, which is already under an extreme heat watch as we head into that Friday and Saturday forecast issued by the National Weather Service. The good news is, once we head into next week, we cool right back down to average conditions, so it's a little bit of a warm-up this midweek forecast, a big warm-up into Friday, and then we're right back to average heading into next week. I'm meteorologist Jessica Birch. Before you leave the house, you can watch my virtual weather forecast every morning on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Warming up in some spots already. Calistoga showing 72. It's 70 in Manteca. San Jose's got 64 degrees, and it's 72 in Concord. Traffic and weather together on the 8s and All News 1069 and AM 740. KCBS. Your News Watch continues. After 30 years and 16,350 miles, this Sunday marks the last California AIDS Life Cycle ride from San Francisco to L.A. It's become too expensive to put on, and not enough people are riding in a fundraiser that has been a historic staple in the Bay Area. Today, we start a multi-part series on the legacy of the AIDS Life Cycle ride. It is a big commitment that takes a lot of time and energy, as we've found, catching up with a training ride through Marin. It's a bittersweet time for riders. Some, it's their first time, others their 15th. A grueling 7-day, 545-mile bike ride down the coast. Since 1994, they've raised over $300 million for the San Francisco AIDS Foundation and the Los Angeles LGBT Center.
See, it's my first time. The first time I actually attempted to do this was 25 years ago, and I got sick and I couldn't do the ride. And then after it always seemed like just too much to do 7 days of camping.
Yeah, it was the camping that was the deal breaker for 70-year-old Dipti Ghosh of San Francisco, who figured out a more civilized way to spend her post-ride nights.
Booked a hotel on every day. So I'm good to go. I am princessing all the way.
After a career spent in healthcare, she worries about the future of research and services.
The sign of the times right now, and how much funding is being cut from healthcare and AIDS research, and in particular, I feel like there's no better time for us to be doing this.
Rider Lori Chudikoff of San Anselmo was a self-described straight female ally of the LGBTQ community.
I was in my little, privileged white healthcare, people who have insurance bubble, working on cardiovascular risk management, and then all of a sudden I got an HIV positive patient. And I, like so many other people, was in this mindset, well, it's manageable, and people have healthcare, and there's testing, and there's treatment, but that is a sort of a White Castle approach to really what's going on, is that there are a lot of people on the streets, there are a lot of people who don't have access to health care, and even people who who have health care, they have insurance and they still couldn't afford to buy the prescriptions.
For those looking for a safety net, the AIDS Ride offers fellowship. Recovering alcoholic Dylan Rowe comes from Berkeley to train in Marin.
You know, it is probably the only place I know on the planet where you can just be surrounded by people who just encourage you and love you and support you no matter who you are. It really is the love bubble. First time I heard that, I thought, oh, please, really? Like, but then I did my first ride, and it was the love bubble. It's like nothing you've ever experienced.
Andy Phillips battled cancer while training for the AIDS Ride. He says leaning on others is the best medicine.
We do this thing, why do you ride? And a lot of people have different answers for that, and I finally found one. The reason I do, everyone's got their demons and mine disappear when I'm helping other people, and it matters a lot.
But all the cyclists on this training ride lived through the AIDS epidemic, so they understood the continuing need for support. But what about the next gen?
The young people have no memory of what happened.
We'll take a look at that in our next report. A San Francisco tech firm is beefing up its AI capabilities. We're checking the Money Watch now with Jason Brooks.
Good morning, Holly. Salesforce is making a bigger push into artificial intelligence with the $8 billion acquisition of Redwood City cloud software maker Informatica. It's all about AI, with Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff saying in the announcement that the merger with Informatica will enable autonomous agents to deliver smarter, safer, and more scalable outcomes for every company. Wedbush Securities tech analyst Dan Ives says he expects a lot more AI deals over the horizon.
It's just a start. I see more and more consolidation with big tech players, especially in the AI revolution as it all plays out.
The $8 billion deal is the third biggest in Salesforce's history, behind Slack and Tableau. Shares in Salesforce are moving higher by 2%. Overall, the market's surging higher, with President Trump delaying the 50% EU tariff until July, and consumer confidence in May bouncing back after 5 straight months of declines. Dow's up 660 points, NASDAQ gaining more than 450, S&P up by 112, shares in Apple up 2.5%. On the Money Watch, Jason Brooks, KCBS.
This is Chris Dolan.
And I'm Vanessa Deniston, senior attorney from the Dolan Law Firm. Chris, what's with all these out-of-town personal injury firms coming into the Bay Area with these catchy jingles and funny names?
Unlike the Dolan Law Firm, most of these firms are from out of state or in LA.
The Dolan Law Firm is headquartered right here in San Francisco, going on 30 years.
We live here, we work here, we win here. The Dolan Law Firm, we're the best lawyers we hope you'll never need. DolanLawFirm.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRESH to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform developed by AmericanEagle.com has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
1028 at KCBS. Victor's in your local Honda dealer's traffic center with his eye on Vallejo.
And still looking at some brake tapping on Highway 37 in the westbound direction just as you pass Wilson Avenue. The reason being it's a crash blocking the right lane. Once you get past Mare Island, you'll stay under the speed limit for about a good mile or so. Nothing major, but then after that, the rest of your ride is looking good in Sonoma County. Not affected in the eastbound direction from Sears Point all the way to Interstate 80 in Vallejo. That at the moment is actually looking clear and at the speed limit. Trying to leave Castro Valley as you jump off of 580 on the 238, making your way over to San Leandro. There's some brake tapping approaching that interchange, and then it really doesn't ease up to actually get to about 880 northbound from there to Oakland, looking good. Southbound, you will be under the speed limit out of San Leandro through Hayward. By the time you get to Whipple Road, the rest of the ride from there into Union City is looking good. If you are out and about and need a radio, we're simple. The Odyssey app, that is your best friend. When you don't have a radio around, you can get all the up-to-date with traffic, weather, news, and so much more. And if you see anything out on the roadway, you can always send us a voice message just by tapping on the microphone. Your next traffic update at 10:38 on the Traffic Leader, KCBS.
Sunny skies, warm temperatures. We're looking at 60s at the beaches, 80s inland. Gradual warm up this week until it gets really hot inland on Friday. We're looking at afternoon winds today, 25 to 35 miles an hour through the Golden Gate. So that's going to keep things cooler at the coast. The winds are going to be brisk through the Altamont too. 70s around the bay, low 80s inland and into South Bay. Traffic and weather together on the 8s and All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS.
Come into Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill and see an amazing selection of Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove appliances live and on display in one of the largest living kitchens in the country. And save with full suite savings event. With qualifying purchase, get 3 additional years of protection or qualify for a $1,000 rebate. For the largest selection of Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove appliances, visit the living kitchen at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill or at Friedman'sAppliance.com.
News that matters to you around the bay, around the world, around the clock. All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS.
It is Tuesday, May 27th. Coming up.
I'm Matt Bigler in Vallejo. I'll have the latest on a double homicide at a homeless encampment between 2 major state highways.
I'm Holly Kwan.
CBS News Brief. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says there has been what he calls another common sense decision about who needs COVID shots.
The COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule.
The FDA is also limiting approval of shots to adults 65 or older and those with underlying health problems. Kelly O'Grady reports on new consumer confidence numbers.
What this tells me is consumers are looking at the data, that they're seeing the headlines, what's happening with the stock market, and they're feeling better.
CBS's Aaron Navarro reports the Trump administration intends to cancel all remaining contracts with the country's oldest university.
One administration official told me that the goal at the end of the day is for the government to be out of business with Harvard.
President Trump lashed out at Russian President Putin again today, saying Putin is playing with fire. Over the weekend, Trump called Putin crazy. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
Your News Watch continues. Those hummingbird feeders on our porches, they may have done more than just attract hungry critters. New research shows bird feeders could actually be helping to change the birds that use it. For more, we're joined live on the KCBS Ring Central Newsline by UC Berkeley grad Dr. Nicholas Alexander, now population and comparative genomicist at the Colossal Biosciences. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Super happy to be here.
So, okay, tell me about what you studied, because here we are thinking we're doing something good by having, bird feeders and hummingbird feeders in our backyards. Do you find that the shape of their beaks actually change?
Well, I think feeders are good, yes and no. It's kind of hard to say, but I will say that we decided to do this project by looking at the full set of Anna's hummingbird specimens in the UC Berkeley's Museum of Comparative Vertebrate Zoology's collection. So it's about 400 birds. These date back to 1860. And so we essentially just started out measuring beaks across that time. And we found that around World War II, we start seeing this big shift in beak shape and size. And we weren't sure exactly what happened around this time. And we thought it might be feeders becoming popular. And so we scanned newspaper databases to essentially quantify the density of feeders by locality in California. And what we found is that the explosion of feeder use in California seems to be largely associated with the first patented hummingbird feeder in 1947 from the company Perky Pet. And so after that time, you see this explosion of feeders, and then you see bills start to become more tapered, they change shape, and in males, the beaks actually got sharper. And we know through other research that that males are really aggressive around these feeders. So when you have this really resource-dense thing that's kind of widely available, the males are going to fiercely defend that. Most North American hummingbirds are actually declining. So this is really just one example. And I think in that case, for hummingbirds, feeders are likely sustaining populations when they're really struggling. So I do think they're good in that way. But like all things, when you have this brand new resource, I imagine natural selection is going to be pretty fierce when individuals are feeding from that new resource that everybody's using.
So it sounds like the hummingbirds change physiologically, the shape of their beaks. I mean, they adjusted to be able to potentially use these feeders more, but they also changed behaviorally.
Well, yes. So what we also found is that as birds move into new habitats, so historically the Anna's hummingbird is really from Southern California, but as they're moving north, they're getting into these colder and colder environments. They live all the way up in British Columbia now. We actually found that the birds in the coldest places seem to have smaller beaks, and we actually show in this study that hummingbird bills are functioning as a thermoregulatory organ for the first time. So essentially, you can see through a thermal imaging camera that as soon as a bird perches, they start pumping blood, or at least releasing blood into their beak. So we know that the beak size is likely playing a role in temperature regulation as well.
Did anybody study as to, the size of the holes for these hummingbird feeders, whether they were appropriate, or can they be changed in order to make things better for the birds?
I think they're likely pretty variable, but the one really important thing that we noticed is that most hummingbird feeders have perches, and so you have less of the constraint of the shape of the flower and a lack of a perch. So essentially, when you have these feeders that are everywhere with a place to sit down, you're kind of released from the constraint of like a narrow flower with a little bit of nectar that has no perch. So essentially, it's kind of like it's a lot like humans in a way. There's this, that we have chairs and tables and lots of food available all the time.
Why stand when you can sit?
Exactly.
Okay, so the question then would be, do they get lazy then? Because, obviously going to various flowers or various other places that they're normally feeding, they don't get a chair.
Well, we didn't get at that question, but I know research on other hummingbird systems do show that when flowers are really abundant, they'll actually use feeders less, and they'll rely on feeders more when the flowers are less abundant. That suggests that flowers still continue to provide some resource for the birds that they're not getting from feeders, and likely that's something pharmacological.
Fascinating stuff. Doctor, thanks so much for the research and for the time to explain it. Dr. Nicholas Alexander is a population and comparative genomicist at Colossal Biosciences, a UC Berkeley grad. Tracking the lowest gas prices for you in San Francisco at National Petroleum, Cesar Chavez and Hampshire, $4.59. In San Mateo, the Arco at South Delaware and 19th, $4.53. In Mill Valley, the Arco at Redwood Highway and Frontage Road, $4.39, $4.34. In San Jose at World on East Capitol Expressway and Story Road, and in Fremont, the 7-Eleven on Fremont Boulevard and Dakota Road, $4.29. If you know of a place that can beat this, give us a call, 415-391-5227. That's 415-391-KCBS.
Ever since Mom passed, we've been trying to figure out what to do with her house. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I just can't stand the thought of some big corporate buyer treating this like just another transaction.
Exactly. That's why I called Left Coast Buyers at 925-490-2000. They actually came out, met us in person, and treated us like real people, not just a number.
Wait, they actually came over? No games, no waiting for a random lowball offer?
Nope. A real person came to see the house, listened, and gave us options.
That's exactly what we need. Someone who respects what this house meant to Mom.
Losing a loved one is hard. Selling their home shouldn't be. At Left Coast Buyers, we help families sell with care, fairness, and real Bay Area expertise. No out-of-state investors, no corporate greed. Left Coast Buyers has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 925-490-2000 today or visit leftcoastbuyers.com. We'll meet you in person, listen, and find the best solution for you. That's 925-490-2000. Call now.
10:38 at KCBS, sponsored by Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring Water. We're going to check San Jose with Victor. He's in your local Honda dealer's traffic center.
And still looking at a few areas of slow traffic, some brake tapping on 87 northbound just after Capitol Expressway to slightly past Kirtner Avenue. By the time you get to 280, it does open up nicely from there, but there's been a report of a crash on the connector route from northbound 280 to northbound 87. At the moment, it looks like they might have moved it over to the right-hand shoulder because I don't see any slowing there anymore, but definitely keep an eye out for that as you travel through the downtown area. Also, Highway 101 northbound, let's say right around Story Road, you are going to be on and off the brakes to get past McKee Road. Then you ride over to 880 is looking good. 880 pretty solid from 101 northbound headed towards Milpitas. There was a report of, it looks like a stalled car just past Brokaw right before you get to Montague Expressway in the middle lane. That might be the reason you're still going to be slow there. They're trying to move it over to the right-hand shoulder, but it looks like that has not been done yet. Once you get past that, looking at the Chilton Auto Body